The Canadian dollar just had a massive increase in its value relative to all the other currencies. You guys can see here, whether it's the USD CAD, whether it's the Euro CAD, whether it's the GBP CAD, and even the CAD CHF, you can see that there has been a massive increase again in the CAD's value. But what was the reason? Was it a trend line break? Was it a candlestick pattern? No, it was no technical reason. It was a fundamental reason. The central bank is slowing down its bond buying program. And this is something that all the other central banks could start to do, meaning that we could see this move across all of our other currency pairs quite soon. And I want to show you guys why this is happening so you can have a better understanding as to how to play it from a fundamental perspective. Let's roll the intro. He's a pattern man, but he doesn't ignore the fundamental.
Another episode of the
Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Cleveland. I like to do deep dives on what's happening inside of these currencies, stocks, cryptos, whatever. Markets move for reasons, and usually those reasons are correlated back towards the fundamentals. And across my channel, you guys will see us doing deep fundamental analysis, and that's going to give you a massive edge in your trading business, because if you can understand why the markets are moving, you will be able to make better trading decisions. All right. So if you guys are new, again, make sure you guys subscribe. And if you like this video, okay, I'm going to be rescuing one trader out of a Forex MLM. Okay. God help their souls. So there's been something that has been happening to this Canadian dollar. We have seen a massive buy side rip on the Canadian dollar. And again, you guys can see across every single currency, we know that this is the Canadian dollar moving in its value. Okay. Now, the reason I say that is because if you're just randomly looking at just one specific currency, like the USD CAD, then you don't know if that's the US dollar getting weaker or if that's the Canadian dollar getting stronger. So usually you have to look at a multitude of different currency pairs, or you can use what we have, which is a currency index. We know that there's the dollar index, right? But we have a Canadian dollar index. We have a Euro index. We have an Australian dollar index. We have those here in TradingView. And that just gives us the ability to see what's happening in that specific currency. This is something that we've created inside of our Top Trader Bootcamp. All right. So if you guys can see, there's been a massive buy side rip here on the Canadian dollar, right? And if you guys go check out the article, I'll post it down below. You guys will see that basically the Canadian central bank has slowed down its bond buying program. This is what I want to talk to you guys about today. But what does that even mean, right? If you're new to fundamentals, this stuff might not make too much sense, but after today, it will. Okay. So what has happened since the beginning of the pandemic is there's been a tremendous amount of money printing going on. This is something that you guys know. It's come in the form of stimulus checks. But the cool thing is you can actually see that money printing in the money supply, right? So what we'll do is we'll head over to the trading economics. Trading economics is just a really great place where you can understand what's happening in an economy and all of the economy's unique attributes, whether it's the GDP, the CPI, the PPI. But right now we're looking at the money supply. No rhymes intended. All right. So what you guys will notice here, if I go to a 5-year, what do you see there? Okay. You see a tremendous amount of an increase in the money supply. This is the MO money supply. Okay, so the MO money supply is basically the actual cash in an economy. You're going to see one other instance recently back in 2008, not so recent, but you're going to see one other instance where you see the MO money supply increase in the US. And again, that's during the Great Recession. What do you see here? So boom, you get a massive spike in the money supply because what did they do? They printed money back in 2008 to help the banks and to bail out the banks. But this time around, they printed money to bail out the consumers. That's why people who are in that, who make lower than 70 grand a year, they received stimulus checks, right? 75,000 bucks a year, right? So those stimulus checks, basically some people call it helicopter money, went straight into your bank accounts, and boom, you can see that printed right here. Now, the interesting thing is the US dollar and the US economy wasn't the only economy that did that. And that's why if I head over to the Canadian dollar, you'll notice a massive increase in their money supply. Massive increase in their money supply. So what's happening is right now they are still printing money on a weekly basis. They're printing about $3.2 billion a week, but they're slowing that process down because they see GDP growth in their economy, right? Basically, there's a recovery happening in Canada at a speed at which the central bank feels that they can start to slow down this money printing bond buying process. Okay. So what is a bond buying program though? Because it's easy to quickly say, yeah, they're printing money, but like, what are they actually doing? Well, basically all the central banks, what they did was they went to the treasury because as we know, most central banks, or I think even all central banks are not affiliated or attached directly to the government. They're their own entities in and of themselves, right? So the US central bank, for example, they went to the treasury bond or the money markets and they printed money. But they printed money to buy treasury bills. They printed money to start to buy treasury bills in the market. And that is what created an environment where there was a higher money supply, and then that capital was sent out into the economy. And that's exactly what Canada did as well. So whenever they're quote unquote printing money, they're technically going to the money markets and buying bonds, 5 years, 10 years, 30-year bonds, okay? And then after that, you basically are getting inflation and you're getting capital, and they're pushing that capital out into the economy, all right? So Canada is now slowing that process down, and that's optimistic. Because think about it, if you're lowering inflation technically, or if you're slowing the printing press, then technically you're going to see a demand in the prices of that currency. And that's what we see happening right now with the Canadian dollar. The question is, will that demand continue? Is this just a random spike in volatility where markets just randomly get a push to the upside because it's just good news, so to speak, right? Or are market participants thoroughly going to think, oh, wow, the recovery is really happening. Maybe we can start to continue to increase the valuation of the Canadian dollar. That would give us a trading opportunity, right? Now, when are we getting in and how we're going to be trading this? What currency are we going to be trading? That's what we're going to be discussing inside of our boot camp. But I think you guys can understand that there is a big opportunity now to potentially start buying some of the currencies that are going to slow down this printing process. Canada's one of the first, right? Because if we go and take a look, the United Kingdom, they did the same thing. This is the money supply for the UK. Go to a 5-year. What do you see? Right during the pandemic, boom. What does their MO money supply say? It says they printed a lot of money. All right. Now, if we go over to, let's go to Australia, you'll see the same thing. I thought I had Japan up here as well. Let's go over and let's see what Japan did and if they were doing some money printing. By the way, they were. All right. All we have to do is head over here to the money area in this cool little interface. And what you'll notice is, yes, they did print money. But to be honest with you, Japan has been printing so much money over the past few years, you can barely tell. You actually have to go down to like a 1-year chart to see that increase. Right around April, you see that they have been printing more money than they usually have. Japan is one of the worst monetary policy examples of an economy because they have a negative interest rate. We've done so much on Japan. I'll actually put a link in the bio to basically the video we did on Japan and how its economy is so messed up. All right. So again, this is a big opportunity where we could potentially see more economies saying that, more central banks saying, hey, we're going to be slowing down the money printing process now in hopes that this revitalization of the economy is going to start to invigorate people to start getting out there, buying things, buying stuff at retail establishment, traveling again, so on and so forth. That's going to start to increase the valuation of some of these currencies, which is obviously something that we'll be able to take advantage of in Forex, in trading. All right. So if you guys have any questions as to how this works, all right, just down below, comment down below. I'll be there kind of hanging out, maybe answering some of your questions. Okay. If you guys are wanting to learn a little bit more about fundamentals and just go through a process where you can learn every single thing about fundamentals, because there's a lot to learn. If I pull back and I show you guys, all the different fundamental areas of any economy, you'll notice that there's a lot of variables here, and so some of them are needed, some of them aren't. We have a fundamental boot camp that will take you through a process to rationalize and understand all of these different catalysts that could be driving markets. That link is in the bio as well. So the Canadian dollar is the first one. Let's see if this price move sustains. If it does, I will be coming back on the channel when we're triggered in certain positions, and I'll let you guys know how we're managing those positions as well. All right. So like the video, let's save a trader. Hashtag that, save a trader from an MLM. Oh man, we got to like these videos. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit later on. Okay. Peace out.